And also, Mami May, ano sa tingin mo yung challenges na dami mo kasi nakakausap ng mga magulang in parang ano yung pinaka challenge na nakikita mo at ano yung pwedeng gawin para doon?
Sometimes time I think is really true. I just wanted to share, like for me, my kids' sacred time was 2 hours before I go to work and 2 hours when I come home. No, so those 2 hours I maximize. That's why I research a lot. No, pero isa lang din na realize ko on the other spectrum. There's a lot of parents who feel, di naman ako teacher, mom. Paano ko gagawin yan? Alam mo yon, yung parang I'm just some parents would tell me, pag nagpa-play sila, sabi ko, anong ginagawa niyo? Hindi ko rin naman alam paano sila kakalaruin eh. So nasa cellphone na lang ako. 'Di ba? Which is, I think it's not a judgment at all. No, I always commend them for recognizing that there is a need, no, for it, and they're starting to realize it. So they shouldn't also be afraid to look for tools that are more didactic now. Yan yung challenge ko ngayon eh. As an parang there's a lot of, minsan kasi yung mga educational toys, parang pag medyo mas educational, pang teacher lang siya. 'Di ba? Hindi masyadong pang parent, no? So it's really a very, very big challenge, no? To look for tools. I don't even say toys eh. To look for tools, like you said, in the house. You know, my kids from 0 to 1, they only had probably 6 toys that they were playing with. It's really not the number of toys, but if we have to just find more didactic and people to talk to, right? That's why I believe I only do one-on-one classes free, regardless of what stature. I don't really mind because each child is unique. So the challenge is how to sabayan yung bata kaysa tayo yung nag-i-impose.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing. Kasi may iba ring parents na sabi, ginawa ko yan, pero di naman interesado yung bata eh. 'Di ba? Parang ganun yung nila. So I say, run after it. No, like my son says, I don't like to study Chinese. I don't like to study Mandarin. Tapos pag nag-aaral kami nun, tatalon-talon sa kama. Alam mo yon, yung hindi masyadong nag-aano. So I said, but I know that he loves to use his hands. So what we did, draw, cut pieces of paper, hiwa-hiwalay, draw, and then nag-matching type kami, 'di ba? So don't be afraid. I think that's what I want to also to the parents, no. Even if sabi mo, hindi ako teacher, mom, or whatever, but you've played, right? All of us at one point in our lives have played, 'di ba? So just go back to the time when you played and what you enjoyed, and maybe share that to your child rather than impose right away, get so overwhelmed by all of this like very teaching. That's why I don't even use mga words like cognitive developments already, because it's just too much sometimes for a parent, right? All you need is to build skills. Yun lang. Okay? So that's it. Do activities that build skills so you don't feel so intimidated also. Yeah. So that's the challenges that I've seen so far.
Oo, no? Para nakaka-intimidate. Sabi niya, hindi naman ako graduate ng education. Lalo na itong pandemic, no? That was highlighted kasi parang sinasabi nila, hindi naman ako, licensed teacher, no? Bakit naman sa akin nilagay yung pagtuturo? Well, in fact, we can use a lot of things at home to make the time with our children worthwhile, no? So, may mga ganun talaga. Kailangan lang talaga nating maging creative bilang mga magulang. So, meron pa akong syempre, tanong pa, no? What do you wish na nung parang mas bata? Kasi si Papa Jomsi, meron kang toddler, di ba? Meron kang 3 years old, tama? Tapos, pero si Mami May, malalaki na yung mga anak niya. Sa tingin ninyo, ano yung dapat sana or sana, I wish ko ito yung alam ko nung lumalaki yung mga anak ko tungkol dito sa early childhood education. Ano sana yung alam ko para hindi na ako masyadong nahirapan or hindi na ako masyadong na-challenge?
You want me to answer first?
Yes,
Okay.
sige, Mami Faye.
Sa akin siguro nakita ko kasi yan 3 years apart yung kids ko, no. So yung I'm a bit more academic in school when I was growing up. I studied in St. Jude Catholic School, so you can just imagine the rigidity of the subjects, no. Pero ang nakita ko yung first ko kasi na-enroll ko siya sa parang 1.5 sa totoong small school na yung nakaupo lang siya, nakikinig, ganyan. I wished I had known, no, that there was play. There were schools that are more just play. And I knew that when my son was already at that age. Alam ko na. So he really took the play route. Play route talaga siya hanggang nag-big school siya ng traditional. no? And I really saw the difference. That's what I wanted to, that's what I hoped I learned, because the difference with my both kids, my daughter excels in school, my son also excels in school, but my son excels in a relaxed manner. Hindi
Yeah.
siya very parang if the grade is not good, he looks at the mistake, I'm fine. There's a next test. And as long as I know where I got it from, no, there's not a lot of fixation or traditional views of no. But my daughter, I feel, because she started very early in a traditional environment. Medyo nandun yung concepts of traditional concepts of what that I have to learn my ABCs at this time already, But when you go to a play school, kahit nga 2 years old, di pa alam yung ABC, okay lang dun sa teacher eh. 'Di ba?
Yeah.
So, yung mga ganun na things.
Oo.
So that's my
Ikaw, Papa
answer.
Jomsi, ano yung challenge mo? I mean, ang tanong ko pala is, ano yung sana alam mo na?
Sana alam. Yeah.
Oo.
Well, my eldest kid is actually 8 years old. So there's a 5-year gap. So eldest kid ko, what happened was it's the same scenario for usual parents. We got our kid and then the mom and I were working. So niwan namin kay Yaya and then the whole day TV. Pag uwi mo, hi anak, ito laruan. Uwi ko sa'yo. So what happened was, and I've mentioned this during the first session, that may delay siya sa speech and things like that, versus right now, yung 3-year-old kid ko na talagang nag-hands-on kami, natuturuan namin talaga, we dedicated time talaga for the kid. You see the difference sa kanilang dalawa. Pero at that point, when we had our first kid, no one told us. Walang doktor sa ospital na nagsabi na pinagpaplanuhan rin pala ang child development. Pinagpaplanuhan rin pala ang pagkakaroon ng anak. No one told us that. To the point na hindi namin alam kung ano ba article sa internet ang titignan namin to be good parents. Napansin na lang namin, delayed na siya sa speech. That's when we got a DevPed. And the DevPed started explaining everything to us. So it's more of, kung may mababalikan sana ako, sana the first kid pa lang namin, we had seminars or may resources online na alam mong accurate, or even books talaga na parang sinasabi pala sa hospital na, oh, hey, you should read these books kasi big deal ang development ng kids from the age of 0. So yun yung parang one of the things na nire-regret ko in a sense, pero more of at least mas aware na ako ngayon. So it's more of sa second kid ko, wala kaming therapy, sobrang okay yung development niya, and nakita namin yung big difference talaga if you allocate time para sa kids. Another thing before I end yung sinasabi ko is that parenting, pinagpaplanuhan siya to the point na dito sa second kid namin, nagsabi ako, okay, ano yung schedule natin sa anak natin? So, my wife said, okay, maghahanap ako ng work from home para mas malaki yung time ko sa anak natin. Matutulungan ko siya. Of course, kailangan yung budget malaki, bumawas ng konti. Pero it's all worth it in the end. My point is, pinagpaplanuhan rin ang parenting. So that's something na sana narinig ko nung pinanganak yung kid ko. So that's it.
Oo, magandang insight yun na yung sana ano yung alam natin. Pero yun nga rin yung challenge sa amin bilang academics, di ba? Kasi marami kami mga researches, for example, in universities, no, sa University of the Philippines. Pero yung challenge talaga is how do we popularize those things? Paano siya mas magiging palatable, mas magiging lapat doon sa kinakailangan ordinary people? Kasi hindi naman lahat ng mga tao ay merong backed by theories or nakapag-aral sa isang universidad at ganito yung specialization. And sinasabi nga namin, meron bang paaralan para sa magiging magulang? Wala, di ba? May paaralan ka para sa pagiging doktor, para sa magiging teacher, pero wala talagang Bachelor of Science in Parenting. And yet, when you become a parent, you are a parent all your life. Tapos parang kinakapa mo sa una, hindi ba? Pero alam mo, we had the same concern, Mami Maye, kasi dalawa yung anak ko. Siyempre magkaiba sila, no? At dito sa parenting series na ito, sa webinar series natin, nakikita natin, meron akong nakikita talaga na pattern na we get to learn how to know our children. Talagang kailangan natin kilalanin yung bawat isa kasi sabi mo nga, Mami May, each child is unique. So, ganyan din yung problema ko, yung sinasabi natin nun, saan ko ba talaga ilalagay yung mga anak ko? Magkaiba rin yung anak ko dalawang anak ko, pareho silang babae. Tapos, syempre, recommendations ng mga kaibigan, o dun mo ipasok sa eskwelahan na yan kasi it's a good school for girls. Pero parang hindi naman ata appropriate dun sa aking bunso. So, I really looked for a school na play-based talaga siya. So, dalawa silang natuto or lumaki sa isang play-based school, no? Na talagang laro lang sila ng laro doon. And I think mas relax yung atmosphere, walang assignment, no? Bakit ba kasi kailangan lagi may assignment, no? Nauubusan tuloy ng oras sa ibang gawain like doing art or doing other things or sports activities, no? So talagang yon, at ngayon mas available na. I'm happy na talaga yung Rex Education is really our lifelong partner. Nagkakaroon na tayo ng ganitong mga series. How I wish when my children were growing up, I also have these kinds of resources, no, to help me guide also as a parent. Ayun, so meron akong isa pang tanong. How will you handle explaining complicated ideas or concepts to your kids? Like for example, yung gender, inclusivity and equality. Paano nyo yan naituturo, no? Kasi yung gender kasi, or gender equality, parang bakit ko naman pag-uusapan yan? Mga bata pa naman yan, di pa naman nila alam yung concept ng gender. So, or pagiging inclusive, for example, do you experience having those discussions also with your children? Sige, Papa Joms, nagmanad ka, so pwede mo bang simulan yon?
Yeah, okay. Kasi for dads, it's usually a concept that we often throw sa moms. So we go, tanong mo nanay mo, o kaya explain niya na nanay mo sa'yo. So yun yung makalumang style. Pero right now, having more understanding na the kids actually can think and feel kahit sa young ages, then that's how I usually frame difficult questions. Rather than tell them, oh, dapat ganito ka or dapat ganito ang gawin mong treatment sa iba. I make them reflect. If you were on the receiving end and someone like you were different, and then you had a friend and sinasabi, ay different yan, ay weird, ay how will you feel? So it's more of, rather than explaining directly, and I think this is also in one of your sessions, okay, yung previous sessions natin, gusto kong i-reflect niya kung ano mararamdaman niya kung siya yung receiving end. Therefore, making them understand how to actually treat others. So when it comes to concepts that are difficult or napaka-complex, rather than focusing on the idea itself and explaining it na parang napaka-scientific or kaya politically correct, it's more of based lang ng sa mararamdaman nila. How will you feel if you were like this? And what will be your reaction? So pag na-translate ko ng ganun yung idea, like with gender equality, then their minds are open more na, okay, so ganun pala siya. I don't want to make that person feel that way because I don't want to feel that way. So to answer that, how do I deal with difficult situations? I just make them understand kung ano ang mafe-feel nila. Yun.
Yeah, thank you, Papa Jomsi. Ay ko naman po, Mami May.
Ako kasi, technology in our family is used really, I kind of gear the screen time to information use. No? So they read about it sometimes earlier than I than I pero ang standard ko sana doon sa inuunahan ko talaga yung mga bata sa ganyan. Yung parang yung kasi parang sometimes when they hear it and then you haven't shared it, parang they feel also hesitant to share it with you. Baka ma-judge sila or something, no? So ako, inuunahan ko na sila. I do a lot of like mga stories of, ganito, ganyan, no? Parang, how kaya in like Sweden pala, it's already like this, no? They have mga, how they accept it, or same-sex marriage, right? Or all of these new things that are going on, especially in a country where very Catholic, right? Where religion is very central, right? But you will hear kids now saying, I think I prefer Buddhism, right? Because it's less judgmental than our faith and things like that. What I try to do with my kids is to listen, talagang listen, hear them out. What have you heard about it? Diba? And then you kind of go with the flow kasi you can't also give them something super naman ng extreme, right? you kind of have to know where they are and the circumstance of what they will face. No, the reason why we show them this is, yes, I agree with Papa Choms, it's really the empathy, but also what if they encounter it themselves, right? Like it's very different now. You know, grade 7 they already question their sexuality, or sometimes even earlier than that. And now what I heard from parents is that sometimes it's become more a trend. Like parang I don't want to be normal now is parang it's boring, right? We all have to be different. So nakakatawa, like I hear ano, like there's some parents sharing na sa girls class na lahat sila sabi nila they're not girls. You know, yung parang it for the sake of the sake of the sake of it, right? I mean, not necessarily they understand what it is, no. So just let them be, hear them out, no, give the factual informations, use the screen, direct them to the right information. So I do, dahil sa mga tanong ng mga anak ko, marami, pati ako napipilitan mag-research eh. 'Di ba? Kasi they ask us questions that we didn't undergo, right? This whole gender thing, we didn't undergo that.
Yeah.
That he, she, 'di ba? All these things, we didn't undergo it. But you know, it's my daughter who told me one time we were in the U.S. Barnes and Noble, and then she found the book and said, "Mom, I think this is very important for you to read," and it's all about gender, right?
Yeah.
Because I think we all need to be more politically correct when we talk to people, right? And things like that. No, so that my last advice there is learn from them too. There's a lot of things you can learn, especially kasi ngayon mas matatanda na yung mga anak ko, no? But they started to teach me and expose me to these things maybe when they were 12. And I listen. I listen and I know. And siguro the last on the inclusivity, on the general forms of inclusivity, I think there's just too much labels, no? In the end, the inclusiveness of things is sometimes, like you said, sometimes people are just different. You know, if you pull it back to simple things, people get bothered because someone is different, something is different, right? So try to make your child get used to different things, right? Tama na yung parang ganun kayo, ganun. Like when my daughter was training for ano, she had to live in Ormoc for at least a month or 2 months even, no? Things were so different talaga between, you know, whatever the food there is, whatever ganyan, the national team, everything. It was a very, very different environment for her to be in. And, you know, like, syempre, yung normal, like, national team ka, pinapahugas ka ng pinggan, you know, yung maraming mga things that are very different, no? She could have, and she was together with some other fencers also na from private school. Makikita mo talaga yung difference, no? Yung parang, oh, I don't do that, right? Ew, mga ganyan, di ba? I was so amazed that my daughter was like, let's try it, right? Let's try it. Let's do it, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like, even as a child, if you expose them to things that are not comfortable to them, right? There's really less consequences. And that thing that they will want to be able to be more open to things becomes more natural to them than us having to teach it to them when they're already after their formative years.
Yeah. So yung comfort zone, no? Allowing your
Comfort zone,
children
yes,
also
yes.
to get out of their comfort zone. Lagi yan sinasabi, whoever invented comfort zone. Kasi pag masyado na tayong komportable, din tayo natututo masyado, no? We still learn being in our comfort zone, pero I think going out of the comfort zone and thinking outside of the box can help us improve, no, our lives better and the lives also of other people. So yun lang parati ko sinasabi din sa mga anak ko na sige, sana pag maisip nyo din, lalo na yung mga, you know, mga hindi pareho ninyo, na there are also very different families, hindi isa lang ang pamilya. So even to my children, no, even to the kids, no, in school, na alam nila, they're very much aware of the differences in people, and they're very, very much aware of the process of othering, yung parang iba sila sa akin.
Yeah.
Pero in that kind of diversity, we're learning so much about other people. We're learning na hindi naman pala sila nakakatakot, or hindi naman pala sila nangangagat, no? Meron din pala kaming something in common, and what we want to do really is to be happy together as a team, or as a community, no? Kahit magkakaiba tayo ng socio-economic status or even family structure and all. So yeah, it's really very important that we have this conversation also, Papa Jomsi and Mami May, no? And I really like what you said, na talagang sana maparamdam din natin sa mga anak natin na there's those things as well. Yan, ako, napakahalaga nitong ating pinag-uusapan at ang dami-dami na nating natutunan from the series. Pero alam niyo kailangan na talaga nating mag-end, no? Dami na nating natutunan dito. And then, for finally, ang dami nating pinag-usapan mula sa series 1, episode 1 pala, episode 1, episode 2, ngayon nasa episode 5 na tayo. Pero bago tayo mag-end, ano ba yung sana yung parang last advice, very, very important advice that you can provide our parent listeners today, and how can you provide, or how they can provide early learning opportunities at home? Apart from what you've already said, and shared, during discussion, meron pa ba kayong gustong sabihin pa before we end this episode? Una siguro si Papa Jomsi ulit. Yan. Tapos si Mami May naman.
Sige. I speak to moms and dads, and really the dads rin. You have to make that decision talaga na kailangan mas involved tayo, and we need to open our minds na there are certain ways or methods to actually help our kids when it comes to their learning. Another thing that we need to be mindful of is we need to find the right resources para sa mga kids natin. Like before, I'll just go to a bookstore and buy any book na makita ko. If it's about colors, ang books namin dito, red, blue, yeah. Give them materials that actually teach them and encourage them to think. There are also books na may activities na gagawin na rather than screen time ang ibigay nyo, yung ginagawa ng book na yon is like it's a ika-cut out nila sa table habang nag-aantay ng pagkain yung mga certain parts ng book. What I'm saying is we also need to make that decision to take that step towards accepting na kailangan natin tulungan ang ating mga wives and our kids to actually have the right mindset when it comes to learning. And the tools are available there. So we need to give them things, books, or supplementary materials that will actually help them when it comes to their education journey. So educational journey. So that's my take. It's a decision. And number 2, you need to really exert effort in giving them the right resources for this.
Oo, kaya yung Rex Education, marami siyang resources for early childhood, diba? Which I will talk about later. Mami Faye, ano naman ang iyong advice? So, ano naman yung last note mo para sa episode na ito?
Siguro I'll use my theater hat, because I used to write Filipino plays, and what I've picked up from parenting is setting the stage is so important, right? Like you can teach, you can inject, but if you don't set the stage in the house, it's hindi. Like ako, I didn't used to read a lot of books, so parang pero na-realize ko, tapos sasabihin ko gusto ko maging avid reader yung anak ko. Hindi mangyayari yon. Diba? So you need to set the stage for that. And setting the stage includes also giving your child that comfort area. Before in the US, they would call timeout areas, right? In schools. But now they call it now calming areas, because they have social-emotional tools there to calm the kids rather than punishing them. So I was lucky. I didn't know this yet, but that was what I did with my kids. They had their kind of like play, relaxing area where it's sorted, nandun yung mga learning niya, pang skills, nandun yung cleaning, nandun yung naka-divide siya. Actually, my only goal came from my engineering hat of saying that I wanted longer playtime. Pag sinama-sama ko lahat ng toys na yan, isang kunan, tapos 5 minutes, tapos na siya maglaro. Diba? But if I set the stage, there are learning toys, there are cleaning toys, there are puzzle toys, right? They get it one, then we have that routine, we have to pack away, and then we get another, the books is the same. So set the stage, have your own, and label it. Like, kunwari, my kid, Megan's learning corner, right? Marcus's learning corner. So right now, when I looked at them, pag nagkakaroon sila ng, let's say, hindi sila maintindihan sa algebra or something, it's so funny. They go back to the shelves. Kasi pinapakip ko Kunwari, mga 8 years old. Sige, you pick your favorite toys nung 3 years old. Tatago mo yan. So, naka-keep yan. And then their play becomes their own relaxation time. They go back, they pause, and then they do what they need to do again. But when they were children, it's the same. They would go to the, pag kunwari medyo mainit na ulo nila and all of these things, my son would go to his corner, pick the toys that he wants. Sige, sabi ko, stay ka muna dyan, calm down, 'di ba? And then when you're ready to talk to mom na, no? It becomes a safe haven, no? So set the stage for play, for relaxation, and for bonding. So the family time, the routine of setting family time, kahit 30 minutes lang yan dahil sobrang busy natin, that routine is something your child will take for the rest of their lives. And maybe my last advice is this, no? Most of us have multiple children, right? And as I say, and I firmly believe, they all grow up uniquely. And as much as we don't like to compare, sometimes it happens, no? I always have a one-on-one time with my kids once a week when they were growing up. And it's never about shopping. It would never be about buying things. It would be about us maybe buying an apple pie in McDo or fries and an orange juice, no? And just sitting there. Nung umpisa nga halos walang mapag-usapan eh. Alam mo yon, yung parang nakatingin lang kayo sa isa't isa. But then later on, you'll see, like, so now my children, when they have things, it's so automatic that they would, mom, you know, this happened in school. Mom, ganito, ganyan. And then the culmination of that understanding came to me siguro last year nung sinabi ng daughter ko, Mom, you know, I just realized from my classmates that not everyone pala talks to their moms like I do. Like I talk to you. Kasi ako talaga alam ko lahat. To the point na barkada rin ako ng mga anak niya, ng mga barkada, ng mga kaibigan niya. And, you know, because she tells me, so minsan pag nakikita ko, oy, I know your crush, gaganon ako kasi alam, parang, so parang feeling ko, that kind of talking, don't expect it to come when they're already 10. It really happens when they're 2 or 3 years old. Talk to them, play with them. Kami minsan, magdadala ko, weekly namin na time, favorite food niya, let's say, I don't know, that one point it was Japanese food. May dala na rin akong puzzles sa bag ko. May dala na rin akong coloring materials. At the very, very least, when we're in our favorite place, which is Pancake House, yun ang favorite place ng mga anak ko before, ballpen, tic-tac-toe, we're good. You know, so those kinds of things. I think that's my last advice.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mami May. Dami nun, ha? Pati kay Papa Jomsi, dami na nating natutunan, no? Make time, no? At saka, tama yun, no? They need to have their own space. Kahit na maliit lang yan, kahit isang table lang yan, minsan nagkakaproblema yung mga parents. So, paano naman yan? Nasa condo kami nakatira. Paano naman kami magkakaroon ng little space sa isang maliit na condo? Kahit hindi naman kailangan isang buong room siguro, no? But find time, no? Or find space for them. Kahit isang maliit na corner lang yan, at least meron siyang corner niya doon, no? Kumbaga sa amin, tawag namin dyan thinking space sa bahay. So maliit na corner lang yan, sa'yo yan, kahit anong gawin mo dyan, magsulat ka, pretend play ka, magbasa ka dyan. Tapos, hindi naman kailangan libro lang ang binabasa. Kahit yung mga labels, no, ng mga food packs, no, o kaya pag naglalakad kayo, halimbawa punta sa palengke, nakasakay sa tricycle, or kaya nakasakay sa kotse, yung mga billboards, yung mga signages dyan, maraming mababasa na yung mga bata. At least they know that when something is up there, no, written, ay meron yung purpose. It's to inform also. And information can be found not only in books, but also through conversation. So magandang yan, no? Magandang mga examples yung mga binigay sa atin ni Papa Jomsi at saka ni Mami May. So thank you very much, Mami May and Papa Jomsi, for the beautiful discussion. Very enriching yung discussions natin as always. Thank you for taking the time to share and inspire our audience today, especially the parents, and we hope to see you around. Maraming salamat. Kahit ako, ang dami kong natutunan, ano? Dami kong natutunan kay Papa Jomsi at kay Mami May. And then, bye, Mami Jomsi and Papa Jomsi and Mami May. Bye-bye. See you again, no? Okay, there you have it, no? We just wrapped up the final episode of this webinar series. And for those who have joined us since day one, thank you very much for spending your Saturdays with us. We hope you learned something and can become more intentional in creating a delightful space for learning in every home. Our episodes are available on Rex Education's YouTube channel. You just go there and visit the playlist. And please do give feedback on assessment forms we pin on your posts. Once again, this has been Dr. Chel or Teacher Etchel. Thank you so much for joining with us as we learn and discover early childhood education so we can nurture our little explorers better. Thank you, and we'll see you around. Bye!